What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a nice Saturday evening or late afternoon, depending on where you are situated. I am Britt Devine here with Tim. We're going to have some tasteful taters a little bit later. We got some great photoshopping skills from our producer, Rob, there. Our man TJ, here.
Hold on.
Wait,
you're not going to throw me under the bus. I did not make that.
All right, yeah, because all right.
Whoa, Rob, you don't want to take credit for that. You don't want to take credit for that.
I'm not taking credit for that.
I thought you were joking.
I thought it looked good, but I guess it doesn't look good. So I don't even want it up anymore. Unbelievable.
Regardless, that TJ's not here this weekend, but it's just me and Tim. We'll go over cash games, tournaments, all that fun. And I know TJ's not here for likes, but I got us up on scores and odds. I won't ask for the world to get me up to let's go with 60 likes today, and I'll give you my first scores and odds. It's premium, so it is a bet behind the paywall there. I'll give it to you for free, and then anything Tim can come up with, he'll throw in there too. But I guess, Tim, let's jump into pitching. We got an interesting slate, and maybe I don't know if it's the tale of two sites, but it's basically there's some guys that are way too cheap. And then there's Corbin Burns is basically how I'm approaching it today. There's some guys in the mid-tier who have some upside too. But I want to get your take on maybe Fanduel first, because you've got Burns sitting here at 10-8. I'm pretty much expecting him to be the number one pitcher on the slate. He's got a nice matchup against Pittsburgh. He sort of turned his season around a little bit. You've got Matz as well at 9K on Fanduel. I think you could probably go with him. On DraftKings for sure, Matt's per dollar, he's my SP1 on DraftKings. He's the absolute first guy into my lineup over there because he's so cheap. But do you think Burns is the guy, or do you save a couple of bucks to go with Matt's or somebody else of your choice to maybe get in a Jose Ramirez, a Fernando Tatis, etc. like that tonight?
On FanDuel, even on FanDuel, I don't think it really matters. If you're playing cash games, you're playing Corbin Burns. I don't think it's really that much of a debate in my head at all. Single entries I still think I want to go Corbin Burns, and if he's really only going to be like 30-35% owned in tournaments, I'd get over the field on him in GPPs. I'm completely fine if you want to pivot to Steven Matz on FanDuel. It makes me a little bit nervous. My kind of strange tournament play on FanDuel is Blake Snell, just because, I know that he's terribly inefficient. I know that he has a absolutely horrible matchup, but I think we have him projected for like 5% owned. The bat has him as 8% owned. So let's say he's going to be 6% owned. The guy has a ceiling against anybody. He's got the strikeout potential to beat anyone. So you don't have to go crazy with this. I wouldn't do this in a 3 max. I wouldn't do this in a single entry. But if you're playing 20 teams or more, let's say, it's pretty easy to get over the field. You don't have to I'm not saying go all in or anything, but I think he's a fantastic tournament play just because the ceiling potential is always there with him. If he's got his good control, he could easily beat Corbin Burns.
Mm-hmm. Where do you put a guy like Maeda? We didn't really talk to him from the cash games. That's what I'm playing today. I think he's third or fourth, right? And you only get one on FanDuel, you got 2 on DraftKings. So he's basically right on the outside looking in, but you can't argue with the strikeouts, even with a limited pitch count. It was the Royals, Seattle, Oakland. So maybe, he's had some cupcake matchups. Arizona, a little bit tougher here. Where does he rank for you? More of a tournament play than on the cash game looks for you?
He would be really outside of everything for me today. I don't think this is a very good strikeout matchup for him. We're paying kind of a peak price for him on both sites. Like you said, he doesn't have the best leash either. So really, he kind of gets squeezed out for me. You could say, well, isn't he going to get squeezed out for everybody? Yes. But honestly, if I'm going to take a chance on somebody who's that expensive, I think I'd rather go to Blake Snell.
Yeah, I know. If you like Snell, I completely am with you on Snell. From the cash game, Cheese's article, if you're a premium member, summed it up pretty good today. And it was basically what you said. He has the ability to post the upside of a tournament-winning pitcher, and he has the downside to be out of this game after 3 innings with 6 walks and a bunch of runs as well. So wouldn't sniff him, especially against the Dodgers in cash, but like him from tournaments. Any of these other guys, from an MME pool. I don't think either one of us are doing that personally today, but does a Kirby. I could, if you sniff around the edges, a Blackburn, Stripling against Oakland, even with maybe a little bit of a limited pitch count there. Any one of those guys make the cut for you?
On Fanduel, if I'm hanging around and I need maybe a couple more guys, I've already got my Burns, I already got a couple Snells, I've already got a couple Matzes. I think George Kirby would be my next guy, just because he does have he's got pretty good stuff. He's got a decent matchup. Yeah, and honestly, and I know this sounds really weird, but Ross Stripling at 6,900 on FanDuel. I think he's got to be part of your tournament pool. Like if you're MMEing tonight, 6,900, you can play all the bats. I would just be, if you try to do the 6,900 Ross Stripling, I would just try to pay attention that you don't just. I mean, we'll get to bats in a second, but if you play Ross Stripling, I wouldn't just say, okay, and then I'm going to play 4 Padres, because everyone's going to be doing that. So try to differentiate. If you do the Ross Stripling thing, maybe instead of playing Tatis in that Padres stack, you do a one-off of Ohtani, or just, I'm just giving you examples of a way to get different, because if you go that route with Ross Stripling, then it's going to push you to playing 4 Padres, and that's going to be the chalky way to make that lineup.
Yeah. Before we get to bats, I want to go to DraftKings, where I believe the bat was telling me to play 2 ultra cheap pitchers in Matz and Stripling. This was maybe an hour ago. I haven't looked at it. I've got my lineup set. That's not what I'm doing. I'm playing Burns with Matz on DraftKings personally.
That's what I'm doing also.
Yeah. What do you think of, the Matz Stripling combination with all the expensive bats? It does look good, and it allows you to get some of the stacks that you want. What's your approach maybe on DraftKings, specifically from the cheap guys? Because that's the very easy cheap pairing to make over there today.
It's the same. I just want to reiterate what I just said. If you go the Matt Stripling route on DraftKings, it leaves you 4,700 per bat, and then you're going to say, oh, well, I want Fernando Tatis, I want Juan Soto, I want Manny Machado, and then you're playing into a ton of ownership. Stripling's 21% owned, Matt's is 41% owned, Tatis is going to be chalky, Soto's going to be chalky. I guess Machado's not going to be, but still, you're playing into a super chalky stack. So if you go this Matt Stripling route, try to stay away from, building into a super chalk stack. I'd say if you go this route, play like somebody like the Orioles, right? That have a very, very, very high implied total that aren't going to have as much ownership. Do something like that in an MME setting. And for cash games, that doesn't feel great to me playing Matz and Stripling. I know that I don't like going up, against the bat, especially for cash game settings. But I'm playing Burns. I don't really care. Well, I don't really care what the bat says. I don't care. I don't.
Yeah,
care.
I'm with you too. I want Burns.
Yeah. I'm going Burns
at the top. I just think that matchup's a little bit too good to pass up. And you have Matz with probably the second best matchup, and you can get plenty of bats with Matz being cheap. There are some value bats we'll get to on DraftKings as well.
And I wouldn't mind if people went Burns Stripling in cash, but I think that for me, Burns is kind of like the most important part.
All right, a few more likes. Give me 5 more likes. I'll throw a better 2 your way that I've got up on scores and odds for the evening. All right, Tim, let's talk offense. So we've got a couple good offenses against, reasonably bad or straight up bad pitchers today. We've got St. Louis going up against Colorado. So is it the St. Louis of the second half of the season that's been hitting better, or the first half of the season that was bad? Our friend Justin is not here today. But I think the Cardinals are going to be reasonably chalky on both sides today. You've got, I think even the Padres are going to draw some ownership here. We've got the Guardians. Sorry about that. Still love, what was the Major League? It was just going through my head, and that was the Indians there. But the Guardians, they've got a 5 total. Always scary to back the Guardians offense with a big total, but there's a couple of decent bats there against Kopech, who's having a pretty bad season. What's your distribution look like tonight? For me personally, I'm more of the cash game. Maybe you can give your cash and GPP takes. I'm on the Cardinals. They're the guys I'm really trying to shoehorn into my lineups. I'm avoiding I know the bat was thrown, the Tim Anderson and Benintendi, a combined 3 home runs. I know there's some stolen base upside against Syndergaard tonight, but you really have to, that's really all you're banking on is the stolen base upside against Syndergaard. I'm sort of avoiding them, going with some guys with some more power, looking at the Cardinals, trying to get Tatis into my lineups, and trying to basically fill around that.
Yeah, St. Louis is my favorite stack on the board. It's a little bit slate dependent. There's a little bit differences. I do want to talk about Cleveland real quick. Cole Calhoun was added to the player pool kind of later in the day, and he's 2,100 batting fifth. I think he is certainly worthy of cash game consideration at $2,100. We know this guy. He's been in the minors. He's definitely a major league caliber hitter. A really solid lineup spot. But as a whole for Cleveland, as a stack in tournaments, I very rarely play Cleveland because they have such little power other than J-Ram. Like if you want to one-off J-Ram, that's fine. But guys like Quan, Bo Naylor's starting to get a little bit pricey. Will Brennan's okay, but I'd rather get to Calhoun. Like this just isn't a team that I normally want to stack. Other than maybe, like I said, a one-off of J-Ram or Cole Calhoun in cash games. St. Louis, though, this is an amazing spot for them. And I think it's Ty Block. He gives up a ton of hard hits to right-handed hitters. And, guys like Tyler O'Neill, Jordan Walker, who happens to be my Tasty Tater, number 1 at plus 680 on FanDuel. He's my home run call as of right now. He's pretty cheap on both sites. Paul Goldschmidt obviously is probably my top premium bat, and then guys like Nolan Arenado too. I mean, this team is loaded with really, really solid right-handed hitters.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the Cardinals today, and I like your little graphic got popped up there, Tim. I don't know if you saw that, but I was looking.
I saw. Rob is on his game. I mean, he's on top of it.
It was looking real good on the screen there, Tim. All right, so we got to 69 likes. I'll drop my one scores and odd premium bet for the day. I missed earlier in the day on the Braves money line. The Cubs, apparently the Cubs just score. They are the new Atlanta Braves and Texas Rangers offense in the second half of the season. They score a bunch of runs, so I lost that one. Looking to make it up tonight. I'm on the Cardinals, but the money line a little too juicy. I went with the run line. If you shop around, you can get that around minus 110 for the minus 1.5 run line of the Cardinals, looking for them to win by more than a run tonight. I also don't hate if you can find the minus 1. DraftKings usually has that up where if they win by 1, you get the refund. You can get that. I think that's a reasonable price as well. So that is my one bet from the premium side of scores and odds. What I want to jump to now is more position by position. Tim, let's go around here from cash games. Maybe I'll lead that a little more. You can give some input, talk some tournament plays. But I'm looking at, you've got the law firm Contreras and Contreras. You've got either one. I've got the cheaper one personally from St. Louis. 3,800 on DraftKings looks good. I think he's even playable on FanDuel as a cash game at 2,900 at either first or utility. Really like his matchup. I'm on the Cardinals a lot tonight. He's probably my go-to catcher. And I really, with having Matz and Stripling, you have the ability to not use a min-price catcher tonight on DraftKings.
Yeah, I really loved Orioles and GPPs, so Adley Rutschman would probably be my favorite tournament play. I think Ryan Jeffers, I don't know if you mentioned him. I think he'd be interesting for as a punt. And then Gary Sanchez. We haven't really touched on the Padres, but they're in a fantastic spot, and I think he makes for a really solid tournament play.
All right, let's go to first base. This is going to be a theme that I'm using for most of the show. On FanDuel, I have Paul Goldschmidt, 3,500. I feel like you're stealing being able to get Paul Goldschmidt tonight at 3,500 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Tim, I want to ask you, with you playing Burns and Matz, sort of like me, Were you able to get up to the elite tier at first base? This is a position I've personally sacrificed on. We've got Baltimore, Ryan O'Hearn sitting here against Tyler McGill here. 3,200, great lineup spot. You mentioned you like the Orioles. That offense is, the Orioles are really putting together a good season here. I expect them to be strong going into the playoffs. And that $3,200 price tag on DraftKings gives you upside along with some salary savings to make the rest of your lineup look good tonight.
Yeah, I have no issue. You said Ryan O'Hearn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got no issue with that. I guess personally, if I was punting, I'd go Ryan Mountcastle just because O'Hearn's got 20% pitch at risk cash games. So I think I'd prefer getting $600 more for Mountcastle. But me personally, I am playing Paul Goldschmidt because I'm going to be fading Tatis. I'm really prioritizing this Cardinals team in cash. So I mean, we'll get to Tatis. He's obviously fine. People want to go a different direction. I've got no issue the way that Britt's going. Just me personally, I'm going kind of the Goldie Arenado kind of route instead. I'm very, very high in the Cardinals. I kind of want to give you a little pushback on O'Hearn. I think Mountcastle would be my preferred punt for cash.
I would like that too, but to get the lineup I wanted, I don't have that $600. I can't sacrifice. Everything else looks too good for me. So, Tim, I was forced to go with O'Hearn. I think it's a reasonable option if you land on him. I would like Mountcastle as well if I could get to him as well. And just, I don't know, I am prioritizing Tatis. I have him on both sites, so that's probably where we're going to differ a little bit. Anything else you want to point at from a tournament perspective?
I talked about Blake Snell, but I also want to talk about the Dodgers because the Dodgers, they're not going to come up with very much ownership either. And we all know how bad Snell can be. So this is a game that if I was building 150, I'd be getting some exposure to both sides of the game because we know the Dodgers can break any slate against anyone at any time. Same thing goes with Ohtani. I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying $6,700 for Ohtani. Like that price is getting really, really ridiculous. George Kirby is not a terrible pitcher by any means, but Ohtani's, the best player in baseball. So if you can get him low owned and say you want to stack the Cardinals, leave off Goldie and put in Ohtani, a way to play a chalky stack with a contrarian one-off.
All right, second base. Let me get your take on this one here. So both, I believe, RotoGrinders and the Bat like Jimenez on both sites as your second baseman. You've got Julian, who's a little bit cheaper, allows you to maybe spend up at another position, allows you to reach a Tatis. You've got Polanco in here as well. You can mix him in maybe on, I think on FanDuel. Is he second base or is he shortstop? I think he's second base on FanDuel. If you had to choose between the Minnesota options, which one would you be on? Or do you like Jimenez? I think all three are the same price on FanDuel.
Okay, so I'm not playing Jimenez. I've kind of already talked about how I don't really like Cleveland that much outside of J-Ram or Cole Calhoun. Obviously, projection systems across the board love him. Projection systems are smarter than I am. So by all means, play him if you want to. On DraftKings, I'm going Jorge Polanco. And on FanDuel, I am going Tommy Edman. Mm-hmm. So that's the route that I'm going. But like I said, Jimenez is the top play. I just never really want to get that much exposure to Cleveland if I don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not playing Jimenez either on either site currently right now. So I'm sort of overriding both the Bat and the RotoGrinders projections. They both have him as the top scorer. So I am a little worried about that. But we are allowed to all make our own decisions. We're not all just robots. Some of us out here actually click the names and don't use all these advanced tools that are out there to make them. And that's just something I've done. Julian, Polanco are probably my two favorite. I do like Edmund 2,800 on FanDuel. My question for you, if you're playing him, you're probably foregoing Contreras probably on FanDuel then, or is it Tyler O'Neill you're leaving out?
I'm definitely playing Tyler O'Neill on both sides.
Right. So you're leaving out Contreras on FanDuel and is basically utility.
I am leaving. Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So I like Contreras quite a bit. I can play Edman. I've got him on DraftKings. Maybe I don't think I wanted to put my whole night on Edman personally, so I basically only used him on one site today. I probably would use him on FanDuel if they would let me play 5, but he was basically the 5th Cardinal for me, so the odd man looking out. All right, let's go to third base. This is pretty easy. It's down to 2 people for me: Nolan Arenado, Jose Ramirez. These are probably the only 2 guys I would personally be looking at cash games tonight.
And then Gunnar Henderson would be the only person I'd add to that. I really like him for a home run at plus 470 also. So he'd be my tater number 2, double tater, plus 470, I think, on FanDuel. But yeah, I'm going. Nice job, Rob. I'm going Nolan Arenado though. That's my guy. Cardinals are my team tonight. But I do agree with you that it's like J-Ram, Arenado, or Gunner for me.
So the tater is the first pick. Is the second pick the tater tot, or are they all just taters?
I think they're all just taters. I mean, I got to work on it. It's a work in progress.
All right. Well, we'll figure this out post show. All right. Tournaments with so much ownership, I believe, going to Jose Ramirez, Nolan Arenado. We have projected on DraftKings, like Ramirez is 5,600 and Arenado's 5,100. There's not going to be a 26 to 5% ownership gap on these guys. I think Arenado might end up being the highest owned because I think the Cardinals are just going to draw quite a bit more ownership than maybe it's projecting right now. How do you choose between those ones on DraftKings with like on FanDuel? Arenado so much cheaper. I think he's the clear play. DraftKings people might take Jose Ramirez because the total's high. But I don't know. People are stacking the Cardinals, and it's going to be more than 5% of the field. Are certainly playing Nolan Arenado in their stacks tonight.
Yeah, but I mean, again, this is kind of like what I talked about with Goldie. Like if you're playing tournaments, build some Cardinal stacks without Arenado, and then throw in a contrarian one-off like Gunnar Henderson, or you could play Kim at third base instead of Machado or something like that. Like there are ways to build your stacks, still get a chalky stack, but play it in a contrarian way. I think that Suarez for the Mariners are pretty interesting. Like we'll get to the outfield, but like doing a little like Teoscar Hernandez Suarez mini stack kind of thing. I think that'd be a pretty contrarian way. Punting third base could end up being a contrarian option. But yeah, Arenado's my guy, followed by Henderson would be my second favorite.
All right, shortstop Tim. I'm probably doing something stupid at shortstop tonight. This is on FanDuel. There's a couple of guys. You've got Adames, you've got Correa, you've got aforementioned Gunnar Henderson. You can play at 3,700. I think those are probably where I go over there. On DraftKings, to get everything else that I wanted in my lineup tonight at 2,100, hitting for the Indians. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Rocchio? One of those two, probably.
Rocchio, I think. Yep.
He's hitting 6. He's 2,100. This is. I'm going to be standing out from the field doing that, but it allows. I have no problem doing this in cash. By the way, it's very, it's a very successful cash I have is to basically punt shortstop or catcher. I'm spending reasonably up on catcher tonight, but sure, I'm fading the Tim Andersons, right? Like it's just unless he gets the stolen base, which is a reasonable high likelihood. There's not much else. I'm fading the Benintendi unless he gets the stolen base. There's not much else for him tonight. So
what about Tommy Edman?
So to get some of the other guys that I want to Edman. Oh, I've got Edman in the outfield on DraftKings, so he's at 3,300. So I've got him in my lineup. So I like that. Okay. So maybe I was overlooking that at shortstop.
So that makes a little bit more sense.
I'm glad you brought that up. But I might move Edman over there and throw Calhoun in the outfield instead. Because I could swap that around.
That's what I think you should be doing personally. I mean, that's what I'm doing. So that's what I think. I'll tell you, like I know Tim Anderson's been terrible this year, but on FanDuel, like he's 2,700. That is just so dirt cheap. Like in a spot where he could steal 2 bags. Hit a single or two, steal 2 bases, and he's smashing his price. I'm scared to do it in cash games, but in tournaments, I would be all over that. I'd have no issue with that. Carlos Correa for tournaments, I absolutely love. I've already talked about Gunnar Henderson a million times, but I love him. Ahmad Rosario on some of those contrarian Dodger stacks, and then like Xander Bogaerts. He's not projected for very much ownership, and we know the Padres are in a really great spot today.
How bad would the Mets be if they also paid Carlos Correa? Thankfully, they got injured. What was some injury designation out of that one? Because Correa's just had a pretty horrible season, if you ask me. All right, let's get to outfield. Tim, I'm just going to let you talk outfield for maybe a minute or two. Cover everything you want, then we'll get to some questions.
Yeah, so the top options obviously Fernando Tatis. If there's a way that you want to play a little bit differently than I am, and maybe leave off a Cardinal or two, like maybe not play Goldie, maybe not play Arenado, that definitely 100% play Tatis and out in the outfield position. We talked about Tyler O'Neill on both sites. He's way too cheap. I think he should be a priority play across the board. I've talked about how much I like the Orioles as a contrarian stat today. So Anthony Santander at 4,500 on DraftKings, I think, is a fantastic play. Cole Calhoun, 2,100. He should be your punt today. He is not going to be, if he stays with the team, he's not going to be a $2,100 hitter for much longer. So he's an amazing salary saving option. Max Kepler, I think, is another one in a really, really, really strong spot today. Teoscar Hernandez is another. We are just loaded with really good, really cheap, low 3K guys that we can play today. That is one of the reasons. I mean, it could end up burning me, but that's one of the reasons why I'm not playing Tatis, is because I feel like I have such good, strong options in the outfield that I don't have to pay top dollar for.
Are you on? I know both the RotoGrinders and I believe the Bat have Benintendi over Teoscar, over Calhoun, over O'Neill.
I'm prioritizing O'Neill over those.
Yeah, two. I'm off the Benintendi. I'm not playing him on either slate right now. I've got the Calhoun, Hernandez, Tatis, O'Neill, Rodriguez, those type of guys that are the guys making up my outfielders. All right, before we get to the questions, I want to thank Fanduel for sponsoring the show. If you are a new sports bettor in one of their states, they're always bringing in new states, and sometimes people don't have a Fanduel account. You can get a good offer from them. If you're in Tennessee, Arizona, Colorado, or Illinois, you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Those of you in other states like Virginia, Indiana, Iowa, and all other legal sports betting states, you can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Read the terms and conditions on that. Let's go to the questions. Going to go to our Discord first. And a note, if you want to check out Discord and talk to some of our experts, the Discord is popping off a little bit more than it used to be maybe a month ago. Make sure to check out the channels in there. The content providers of articles and things like that are generally in there. All right, let's go to the live stream chat. Let's see. We're going to work from the bottom up. 4 score. DraftKings cash Wallner or Calhoun as a punt. Last man. Tim, I'm with you. I've switched to Cole Calhoun as my favorite punt of the night.
Yep, it's definitely Calhoun and cash.
All right, Luke Cage wants to know DraftKings tournaments. This is a 3 for Kepler, Gallo, and Santander, or Kepler, Soto. So you got Kepler on both of them. This isn't a 3 for. This is a 2 for. It's Gallo and Santander, or Soto and Wallner.
I guess the first one.
Yeah, give me the first one. I like Gallo for a home run, and Santander over anyone against McGill looks pretty good to me. Let's see. Do you think the Cards are going to come in higher than the O's today? I would say yes, for sure.
Yes. I really like the O's as a pivot today.
All right. Dan Jan wants to know, what pitchers we play in DraftKings single entry?
Burns, Stripling, Matz. That would I don't know. Maybe Snell, but probably not in single entry. So I guess Burns, Stripling, Matz.
I could play I could see a Maeda making it in there at 95.
Yeah, maybe Maeda.
All right. Let's see. A couple more. Last spot, FanDuel, 3,100, Wilmer Flores or William Contreras. I'm definitely on the Contrerases today.
Definitely Contreras.
All right. Snow Fighter wants to know Tyrone Taylor batting 5th, 2,800. Probably not the night or the price for Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah, I'm not really into that. I think that you can find a better option.
Yep,
I think Jordan Walker would be a much better play at 2,800.
All right, going to go to YouTube chat. We're going to work backwards. Darren Unger wants to know FanDuel last spot, Tatis or Ramirez. This is reasonably close for me, but I have Tatis on both of my cash teams. I don't have Jose Ramirez as much as I'd like to because I'm playing Nolan Arenado. I think it's Tatis for me. I don't think I'd fault you for playing Jose Ramirez, and I think Ramirez ownership is probably going to come in a little bit lower than we currently have on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, if you're just looking for the better play, it's Tatis.
Ruken Verde, what was the take on Ryan Nelson? The take was we didn't have one because I think we just skipped over him because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. His performances don't match up with the underlying statistics. Eventually, it's going to come back to haunt him. I'm personally not on him at all today.
I'm not on him at all. Like I'd probably be Xing him out even in a 150 build setting.
Yeah, don't game log watch. The underlying statistics are not great. That might even be overstating it for Mr. Nelson. All right, let's see here. A couple people want just the Minnesota strikeouts. I don't know. Still not doing it for me today. I'm on the Minnesota bats before I'm on Nelson, without question today, Tim.
I'm definitely on Minnesota bats. Like I really like Max Kepler. I really like Jorge Polanco. I think Wallner is an interesting punt. I think Correa is decent. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with the Minnesota bats.
All right, here's some next level thinking. Kyle Gibson for tournaments, with the Mets just being the Mets, right? They've given up on the season. They traded everybody. The back half of the lineup's pretty garbage. Can we do it? I've played worse plays than that.
Geez, I didn't even look at 9,300 on FanDuel. What is he on DraftKings?
On DK, we are looking at a 7,900, so a little bit more enticing.
I guess so. I guess there are worse plays that you could do.
I've definitely played worse plays than Kyle Gibson against the Mets team that's given up all hope.
Yep.
Let's see here. Why is Minnesota delayed? Not sure. Don't see anything.
I don't think there's any weather.
From a weather report from Roth on Minnesota. So I don't know if anyone finds that on Twitter, post it in the chat. I haven't really been looking at Twitter. I've been trying to focus on the show here with just the two of us. So let's see. All right. So we're approaching the end. We would like to go right up to lock. Our producer, Rob, has a heart out. So we have to leave, guys, basically right now. Tim, any final thoughts? Any more taters?
No more taters. I'm tatered out.
All right, go get the Cardinals minus 1.5. That was my free bet of the day. That's behind the paywall at Scores and Odds. Other than that, have a fun. Tim, it's been fun doing the show with you. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Britt, and we out, you.